T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. T-minus 5 minutes. minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Well, a normal Tuesday just went kablooey. Welcome to the RP Show, everybody. Broadcasting across a variety of platforms. It's RP here. Mitchell Stuffy Blair with me coming up in mere seconds. We've got Bob Marjanovich, the Moles, the voice of the BC Lions, coming up in hour 2 to talk about all of these sports updates. But here we go. As usual, I had my quick 6 show topics ready to go. And then, boom, the big news. Mitchell Blair. The Edmonton Oilers have gone and hired Mike Babcock as head. In one little single tweet, and I saw your Facebook post, the Edmonton Oilers have hired Mike Babcock. It's almost like they got to hide the news, like burying it like a turd in a sandbox. And I saw your point about how you think this is going to end not well, so you're the guest. Do you want to take the floor, sir?
Roddy, we've discussed this a few times since this news came out that Mike Babcock could be the coach of the Edmonton Oilers.
Mm-hmm.
Like many others, I think this is a disaster. Daryl Cates saved the Edmonton Oilers from being in Houston or being in Kansas City or whatever. Daryl Cates hired a dirtbag as a general manager in Stan Bowman. And now Stan Bowman has hired Mike Babcock. I hope this ends well for the Edmonton Oilers, obviously, because you know I'm an Oilers fan. But I think many of us know how this will end up. And I do notice today that DJ Smith, the former Ottawa head coach, was named as an assistant coach. I'm almost wondering, Roddy, if DJ Smith is the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers when the playoffs start.
Well, I would say all options, all opinions, everything's on the table, and that includes with our audience, those that are watching on YouTube or the Western Dodge text line 902-518-3033. I've been talking about this for days with you on the air with me or our days that you're not. I don't know what the hell's happened here. But I don't mind saying somebody within the Golden Knights told me that Bruce Cassidy would be coaching the Oilers next year. I would not have put my balls on the table if I was not told that by somebody I trust. So what happened? I mean, I'm not an Oilers fan. So you're sitting there watching all of what's coming out of Edmonton. What the hell changed?
I wish I knew the answer to that. You know, if Kelly McCrimmon had granted permission for the Edmonton Oilers to talk to Bruce Cassidy weeks ago, we're not having this discussion, and Bruce Cassidy is the head coach.
Yeah.
Do I think that the Edmonton Oilers at some point, because this whole permission to talk, Roddy, we all know that that's a bunch of bullshit. If somebody wants to talk to somebody, they're going to talk to them, okay? You just can't make it official. And, let's go back to the Brady Tkachuk thing. You're not going to tell me that any tampering didn't happen there? With Matthew going, come play with me. I know you're under contract.
They openly said it on their podcast.
Right. So that's tampering. So, I think that somewhere down the road, a conversation was had with Bruce Cassidy. And for whatever reason, it didn't work. And I don't know what the reasons for that are, but do you think it's going to work with Mike Babcock? And if it does, great. If it doesn't,
it'll blow up spectacularly.
Well,
like Chris
yeah,
Jones and who was the president of the Edmonton Elk? Who was the president? The MMA guy.
Chris Morris.
Doesn't matter now. What was his name?
Chris Morris.
No. Before him. The guy doesn't matter now.
Presser. Jason Presser or whatever his name was.
Chris Presson. The other guy.
Presson,
the Asian guy. The guy from Edmonton that ran the MMA thing in Thailand. That guy. That blew up too. So whatever. It's, as they say, it's going to go one of two ways. Why can't I not get I had my picture taken with the guy? Doesn't matter. My mind's not there. John in Edmonton writes and he says, as a fan of the Oilers, I do not like this decision. Unacceptable by this team. Glenn in Medicine Hat writes and he says, I now fully understand why loyal hockey fans might choose to burn their favorite team's jersey. Monty in Saskatoon says, I'm not happy with the Edmonton team. So here's the thing. But did you see this? You don't know what to trust or who to trust. And you're afraid of what to say. I mean, we're not working for any of these teams, so we're fine. But did you see the report where the Golden Knights were upset because the Oilers had reached out to talk to Bruce Cassidy while Chris Knobloch was still employed? Did you see that report? And that rubbed the Golden Knights the wrong way.
Because that's what led to the whole.
That's what led to it all.
That's what led to this whole thing starting with Chris Knobloch being released, because it was basically, even though Chris Knobloch was being talked to by the Oilers when Jay Woodcroft was still the coach. Nobody seemed to have a problem with that, but they seemed to have a problem when it got let out that Bruce Cassidy was being talked to by the Oilers or being discussed. So yeah,
Victor Cui. That was the president of the Edmonton Elkamos. Remember Victor Cui? In that
yes,
5
I do,
minutes,
now that you mentioned the name.
That 5 minutes that he was the president. So anyways, this ain't the Edmonton Sports Show, but what's beautiful about it is we got a lot of Edmonton viewers, and they respect us, we respect them. And this is the breaking news of the day. Mike Babcock is the latest head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. So no, it was all going down that road that Bruce Cassidy was to be. And if he was blocked by the Golden Knights, that's still their right. It sure seems like real dirty. For me, Mitch, it was like, I was okay with it, with them dangling the Oilers during the playoffs, like Kelly said, but if this became outright blocking the guy, I don't think that's right. Do you?
No, I don't either. But again, it's in Vegas's rights And they have done this. And I'm sure Kelly McCrimmon is sitting somewhere in Vegas this morning seeing, oh, you hired Mike Babcock, eh? Division rival? Yeah, it's going to end up great. Have fun with that.
Oh, just
and good
set
for
off
Kelly.
off a
Kelly.
grenade in the I guess all of this was accurate. I mean, but when I say you got to be careful what you say, I talked to somebody with the Panthers organization yesterday. It was not Bill Lindsay, it was somebody else. But he goes, I think there's going to be a news conference tomorrow. I heard that, but don't quote me. Don't quote me. Like, like everybody's so afraid, because you get your head cut off in 2 seconds working in those roles, which, as it turns out, Brady we're going to break here right away, but Brady Tkachuk was introduced this morning by Bill Zito, the general manager of the Florida Panthers. So there is a nice news story there out of Sunrise, but also they're trying to light Brady Tkachuk on fire in Ottawa, which is always the way that it goes on a guy's way out of town. So we got a lot to get to. We'll be right back on the RP Show.
Across America, Country Thunder music festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Across America, Country Thunder music festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
All right, Welcome back, everybody. When we talk hockey, it's for the Mad Greek in Moose Jaw. Late night cravings solved. The Mad Greek Eatery is open until 11 p.m. Order online, pick up, or dine in at themadgreekeatery.com. Scruffy's with me, and Mike Babcock has been hired as head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. From the audience, Glenn in Medicine Hat says, how do Edmonton media wags who ripped Babcock hard these past few weeks now deal with the new head coach? AJ writes in and says, so we think the Oilers talked with Cassidy and went a different way? Why not wait and see approach? From the Peanut Gallery. And John in Edmonton says, Rod, I would rather have Donald Trump coach the Oilers than Mike Babcock. Let's just pump the brakes for 1 second, because I think it's going to get wild over the next 24 hours. He's not Graham James, okay? Like, he hurt some players' feelings, and I understand that, but he's not Satan, okay? But I guess that's up to the Oilers to do the damage control here.
I would like to know this. There are several reports out there that say when Mike Babcock spoke with the core players for the Oilers. Now, I believe that was Zach Hyman, Leon Draisaitl, and Connor McDavid. And I think it was Elliot Friedman, and I think Jason Greger also reported on it. They said that some very tough questions were asked to Mike Babcock. And Mike Babcock answered them. And then Mike Babcock threw it right back at them, saying, this is why you didn't win the last 3 years. And asked them some very tough questions. I wonder how much soul searching was done by guys like 97 and 29. And we know that David was not healthy going into the playoffs, and neither was Leon Draisaitl. But if those two guys, they walk on water, as many in the NHL believe they do, and that they are immune from criticism, which they're not, I just wonder how much respect was gained after that meeting. And if Connor Leon, and I believe it was Zach Hyman, Evan Bouchard may have been a part of it as well, but I wonder if after that meeting was over, the four guys got together and said, you know what? We can make this work, because we do have to be better. And as players, we have to get that message to the Matthias Ekholms, the Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, the Matthew Savoys. Like, I don't know, but I think there may have been a little bit of respect that was garnered there. But then I also look, as somebody said to me last night, you've got a guy like Connor Ingram, who's an unrestricted free agent, who's had a history of mental health problems. Do you want Mike Babcock going after this guy if he has a bad couple of games? Like, I just... This dynamic, Roddy, is so weird, and I don't know how it's going to end. Like, I think I know how it's going to end, but I don't.
Well, unless it ends in a Stanley Cup, we'll say that it will end badly. And I think the odds are that it won't end in a Stanley Cup.
Well, I guess the next question is, what is success for the Edmonton Oilers next year?
It's
like, Colorado's not going away. Vegas isn't going away. Dallas isn't going away. Minnesota's going to be better. Anaheim and Utah are going to be better. What is success for the Edmonton Oilers under Mike Babcock?
I think you and I both know. Well, I believe we talked about it here before, and I'm ready to move on. But if they don't win a Stanley Cup for the next 2 years, I do believe Connor McDavid is gone. Utah, Darren writes in, he says, we are so boring here in Utah. All we did is re-sign our coach, and nobody knows his name. LOL, yes, Andre Tourigny, or as I used to say, Andre Tourigny, and I got thrown under the bus for that. So I had to learn how to say it right. Okay, we are going to talk some football here. It's why a lot of people showed up. It is summer after all, but I am kind of getting glee out of Ottawa with what's going on there with the Brady Tkachuk. I mean, I don't like to see other people's displeasure, but now all of a sudden, Brady was a cancer in the locker room. Brady was not well liked, and the players are like, goodbye, Brady. I'm like, oh, well, last week you loved him. So I just think that's – and I said, Mitch, after you were gone yesterday, when Cham got fired here in Saskatchewan, Corey Chamberlain, I was trashing him on the air. I mean, he and I didn't really get along at the end, but people threw it in my face and said, last week you loved Cham, and now you don't. And they weren't wrong, but that's just what you do habitually. I mean, I don't do it anymore, but a guy called me out on it. When somebody's out of town and you're heartbroken over it, you trash him. And that's what Ottawa's doing with Brady Tkachuk, in my mind. What's your read of what's going on with the Senators?
Well, again, Brady Tkachuk's been 8 years in Ottawa. They were just starting to get to where the Senators were hoping to be. And now Brady decides he's going to leave. And like I said yesterday, are we surprised at this? I don't... And people are talking about the whole Canadian star in a Canadian market wanting to go back to the U.S. because he's American. Roddy, I don't care where Matthew Tkachuk is playing. Brady Tkachuk was going to follow him at some point. And is it right that Brady Tkachuk bullied himself into making the Ottawa Senators make this trade with Florida? No, it's not. And that brings up a whole other discussion with the no movement clause, which is something I think the NHL and the Players Association really have to tweak, but that's another story for another time. No, I'm not surprised at this. If Matthew Tkachuk was playing in St. Louis, Brady would be in St. Louis. If Matthew Tkachuk was playing in Anaheim, Brady would be in Anaheim.
Wow.
He gave them
I know.
list of trading partners. He gave him a list of trading. Do you really think that Brady was going up in Vegas or Minnesota? No. Unless Matthew was going there, Brady was going there.
Here's the problem. Pardon me. Too much Tim Hortons. I'm including you and all of our viewers and the public, get sucked into what people say, and we want to take them at their word. And 99% of the time, they're just telling you what you want to hear. And the reason I say that is Brady Tkachuk met with the media in Sunrise this morning, and I'm following the quotes. He said coming to Florida had nothing to do with Matthew. And I'm like,
bull.
It's what he said. It's what I'm just telling you. That's what he said.
Okay.
So anyway, Rob in Windthorst writes in. He says Scruffy in the first segment sounded like he was at a funeral because of Babcock being hired. You're not on board with this.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, right. And there's a lot of Oilers fans that are not.
I don't think I'm the only Oilers fan in that boat.
No, I don't. Let's put it this way. This better work, and I will get to the bottom of what went on here. But as I say, something changed. Listen, we'll get to football in the next segment. All of it. Vancouver Eric writes in, he says, Brady was 0 points in the 2026 playoffs. That's not a lie. But you know what? People can continue to look back if they want. He's gone. It's a new day everywhere. The Hall of Fame yesterday. Another day. Listen, if Theoren Fleury's not in, I'm not interested. But Carey Price, Patrice Bergeron, introduced in the 2026 Hockey Hall of Fame induction class, along with Pekka Rinne, Keith Tkachuk, and Cindy Curley in the player category. Brian Burke, meanwhile, going in as a builder at the fall induction ceremony. What did you think of that class?
I actually thought Brian Burke was already in the Hall of Fame. I had to do a double take when I saw that.
Okay.
You're right about Theoren Fleury. And Curtis Joseph, where is he? I'm sorry, Pekka Rinne is a good goaltender, but if you put Curtis Joseph beside Pekka Rinne, I'd take Curtis Joseph every day of the week. And somebody said, well, Pekka Rinne has won a Stanley Cup. So has Corey Crawford. He's won 2. He's never won in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Who did Rinne win with?
Did they not win with Nashville? I thought that was...
Nashville's never won a
Stanley Cup. Or got to a Stanley Cup final. Sorry. You got to a Stanley Cup final. My bad.
Just saying. No.
That's his biggest accomplishment. And that's not... He's a good goaltender. But I'd rather have Curtis Joseph.
We kind of all understand how and why Theo's not in. And that also sticks in my craw. If anybody wants to talk about any mental issues... And the same with that
whole Canadian Hockey League Top 50 thing that they had during the Memorial Cup.
Even worse. I mean,
that list was invalid because you didn't have Theo on it.
Right. When do you stop kicking a guy in the balls when it was your sport that gave him the issues that he's still dealing with 50 years later? But I digress. But it's like if Theo's not in, I'm never really going to pay much attention. And I feel bad because we have great friends with the Hockey Hall of Fame that watch this show almost every day because they tell me in Toronto, and they're the Hockey Hall of Fame. They're great guys. But I'm like, I'm sorry. It's not their fault. I don't know who's against Theo or what they're afraid of. Here's my thing. Because we're always going to compare the guys' resumes to Theo, or in your case, the goalies to Cujo. So just put him in, and then I won't care about Keith Tkachuk, and I won't care about Cindy Curley. Put in the guys that deserve to be in. And like, who did Cujo piss off? By the way, his stat, he is the Tommy John of hockey in that he's got the most wins of anybody not in the Hall of Fame. Like Tommy John's got the most wins as a pitcher of anybody not in Cooperstown. Cujo's got the most wins of any goalie not in the Hall of Fame. But I don't think Cujo pissed anybody off. But did you see where, like, guys were writing into the show about, do you think the Flames will trade up? I've never been a draft guy. You've known me 100 years. I've never been a draft guy. I don't care. Half those guys are never going to play a game in the NHL. Or 25% will never play a game in the NHL. The Hall of Fame was always my thing. And because of this, they've ruined it, is what I'm saying. With petty, whatever the hell it is. They've ruined it. It's not even fun to talk about.
Right, but we could say that, Roddy, with, like, look at the outcry when Bill Belichick didn't get in. The Pro Football Hall of Fame. We've had,
that's
David
not fun either.
Should he be in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame? Yes, he should. But he's not.
They is a really big group. They've ruined it. Whoever they is, they've ruined it.
But it's not just the NH or the hockey community. It's the football community, the baseball community. I'm sure there are guys that are in the NBA Hall of Fame or the Basketball Hall of Fame, while other guys are sitting there that should be in. Like, it's become a popularity contest. And I know a lot of people yesterday talked about Rod Brindamore. Should Rod Brindamore be in? Yeah, he should. But you know what? The Hockey Hall of Fame wants the pomp and circumstance there, and Rod Brindamore is still the coach of the Carolina Hurricanes. And he's not going to give the Hockey Hall of Fame a week to basically have their ceremonies because he's busy coaching the Hurricanes. If Rod Brindamore quits today as coach of
there
Carolina,
is that.
Rod Brindamore's in the Hall of Fame next year. End of story.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, but they're most Hall of Fames have a stipulation that if you're still active, you can't go in. That's why it was so shocking
as a
when
player.
Wally. Oh, okay. Because Wally went in and we're like, he's still working. Which is fine.
Oh, well, maybe the CFL one is different, but in the NHL or the Hockey Hall of Fame, you've got to be out of the game for so many years.
3 as a player, right? 3 years. Well, most Hall of Fames have that. But then they changed the rules, like Rhett Dawson going into the Ryder Plaza or Kerry Joseph. He was only here 2 years. Who cares? Shut up. AJ writes in, he says, Tkachuk's anti-Canada antics made his staying in Ottawa untenable. He could have been pro-USA without being anti-Canada. Was he ever anti-Canada? Maybe. It doesn't really matter now, but they're going to debate this forever. They're going to debate this forever on the Brady and his legacy. And I don't remember him being anti-Canada, but whatever. I was in Florida the whole time. Maybe he was. Was he?
Well, it's the whole Four Nations Olympics thing. And if you're going to put that out there, then I guess everybody that was on Team USA is anti-Canada.
Because they were playing balls out for their country. Makes them hate Canada.
Well, exactly.
Boy,
so what, like Team Sweden? Are they anti-Canada? Is Team Finland
apparently
anti-Canada? Of course
we've
they
really
are.
taken an off-ramp to crazy town here. Jeremy in Winnipeg says, how the hell is Keith Tkachuk a Hall of Famer? Red Wings owned him in Winnipeg and saying, put in whoever you want, but just put in the guys that deserve to be in there first. Football coming right up after this on the RP Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly, we built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lady Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Dean Brody and the Wreck Loss, teaming up for the Hometown Heroes Tour.
If there's work, you know I'm gonna work.
Live at Temple Garden Center, November 9th.
Can't blame nobody else. I can't help myself.
Two of Canada's biggest country acts. One stage, one unforgettable night on the Hometown Heroes Tour. Tickets on sale now at the Temple Garden Center box office or online at saskpix.ca.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lady Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, it's very clear to me we could sit here for hours and talk about Mike Babcock and Brady Tkachuk, and a lot of shows are, but we're going to move on to a few other things. Producer Corey from Skycron's doing an outstanding job. Scruffy is with me. The only other hockey question I'll ask you, Mitch, comes from the audience on the on the Western Dodge text line. It's from Vintage Sasko, writes in at 902-518-3033. He wants to know if your cat Smokey is on board with the Babcock hiring in Edmonton. What Smokey said about it.
Haven't talked to him about it.
Okay, that'll be for after the show. We'll report on it tomorrow. Yeah. World Cup we'll talk about later once Scruffy adjourns, because we're going to talk about the Canadian Football League, Week 4. And I never did add up your picks from last week, but I do have them here. You said, you went 4-0. We talked about this yesterday. You went 4-0.
4-0, baby.
So what were you bitching about? Why were you bitching that I was making you make him too early in the week? You're clearly a savant.
Well, because I decided to make my picks finally just before the first games. I had to go through the numbers. I had to look at everything.
You had to put some research in? Bettors don't do that.
I had to put some research in.
All right. Well, we got a great week this week.
It was a very profitable weekend, Rod.
You gambling degenerate.
If Sam Burns would have won the U.S. Open, it would have been an extremely profitable weekend.
We all know now that Scruffy's a professional bettor, which is, I would like to do that. I'm just not good enough at it.
I don't know if the word
Thursday,
professional is the right one to use, but yeah.
week 4 kicks off with the Edmonton Eskimos at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Shoot, that might be game of the week. That'll be an interesting poll question on Wednesday. What is the game of the week? But Edmonton at Winnipeg. Who's going to win, Scruffy?
Winnipeg is so good at home, but Hamilton schooled them. And I really like the way Edmonton's come out of the gate. I think that Winnipeg wins this one in a very close football game.
Perfect, because I'm taking
right now.
I'm taking Winnipeg. Little sprinkle of Jesus going to happen there at Princess Auto Stadium Thursday night. I got the
Eskimos. You say you're taking Winnipeg?
Edmonton. I'm taking Edmonton and Jesus.
Okay, you said Winnipeg.
Sorry, I misspoke. Sask at Toronto in Regina. That's going to be a great game.
It should be. I think this is the game that they should have had in Saskatoon, but that's another topic for another time.
They don't ask us these things.
I know they don't, and they don't care even if we say anything. Unless, of course, they work somewhere, then we'd get shit for it.
I'll take Canada's team, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. How about you?
I don't know how you don't take them. I don't think Chad Kelly is going to throw for 400 yards like he has in the first couple of games because that Rider defense is better. I think Saskatchewan wins this, and I don't have the over-under total right now in front of me, but I'd probably take the over.
Oh, yeah. Yardage anyways, for sure.
I should look into that while we're...
Should be a good game.
Here.
The Calgary Stampeders versus the BC Lions in Kelowna, British Columbia. We have the voice of the Lions coming up next hour, Bob Marjanovich. I think I got to go with BC. Well, that was emphatic for you. Why are you so confident?
Yeah. Because I just don't like what Calgary's. I'm not. I think Calgary finishes last in the West. BC's 0-2. They got to get in a roll here pretty quick. This will be BC.
There you go, Jeff, the Stamps fan. How do you like them apples? I think you picked Calgary last way back in the springtime. Did you not?
For what?
To finish last.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
So they'd be. Yep.
So they have.
By
the
way, the over/under in that Rider game is 57.5.
Woo!
I'm going to go.
You're
over.
saying.
I'm going to go over.
Going into week 3, every game was over, and I think coming out of week 3, all season long, every game has been over 50 points. So yeah, that's a high over. But Utah Darren says Kelly won't throw for 400 yards, but he will throw 4 picks again. Well, listen, he's must-see TV. There's no two ways about that. And Sunday, because this is the perfect CFL week for me, and I feel like a lot of the viewers' games, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, works out perfectly. Ottawa at Montreal. This one might not be close.
Alouettes favored by 9.
Yeah.
I'm going with Montreal. That's a big number, but especially at home, and Montreal just lost, that's going to be Ottawa or Montreal.
Well,
by the way, the Tkachuks are on Pat McAfee right now, and they're smiling like a dog in a butcher shop.
Can we, for a second, there's our picks, by the way, brought to you by Pump Jacks Cathedral, Pump Jacks Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Perfect place for sports watching. How about McAfee? How do you think, other than him being paid, which is a really big deal what he gets paid, but he was an NFL guy. How do you think he feels being on ESPN, having all these horse racing and hockey guests all shoved down his throat? He was an NFL guy. That's how he started.
I think he loves it because he gets right into it talking to these guys. Like, I thought the same as you. I thought, how is a football guy going to get along with, how much does he know? And obviously his researchers have to help him out a tremendous amount. But at the end of the day, Pat McAfee's just talking to fellow athletes. And he knows what their mindset is. He knows what their character is. As I said, the sound's down right now, but they're just yucking it up. Because that's the
Those
way that
two...
Pat does things. You know,
oh,
whether
yeah.
he's talking to the Tkachuk brothers, whether he's talking to Dana White, whether he's talking to Wyndham Clark, who won the U.S. Open, he's just talking to fellow guys about their sport. And I really like that about him, is that he doesn't come off as the football guy, even though that is his strength.
And he's got the weekends to do that. He certainly talks enough football.
Yep.
But it just doesn't surprise me that ESPN executives were like, oh, we know you want to talk NFL, but can you put on the track announcer from the Kentucky Derby for 10 minutes?
I just can't believe the schedules that these guys have. And the fact, and I know that they've got private planes that bring them up. But like Pat McAfee one night is doing the NBA Finals, and he's back in Indianapolis the next day. He's doing his college game day thing. Like, when does this guy find time to just kick back and relax?
Oh, I know. But they earn it. I mean, they get paid well.
They
but
do.
They,
no doubt about
they
it.
They don't relax. They don't relax. Talk to these guys sometime. There's a heavy price that they pay for what they get paid. Vancouver Eric says he likes your pick, Scruffy, on the CFL games, particularly his Lions winning. And Vancouver Eric also says he's a Penguins fan. I knew that he was from Pennsylvania, for sure. Any last words from you before we let you go?
Not really. Looking forward to Canada, Switzerland tomorrow. World Cup's been great. Not really sure what the PGA Tour did today, and I'm looking forward to the draft on Friday night because I think there's going to be a lot of movement. And I don't know if the San Jose Sharks and Chicago Blackhawks are going to keep their picks, because I think that they can really move up in the Western Conference if they trade those picks for some established players, especially San Jose, who's on the cusp right now.
There's a lot of interesting things going on. I was just surfing through the Canadian Press Wire this morning, just getting ready for the show. NBA draft is Raptors looking for size and depth. And then I'm just like, I don't know how. It's great. It's great for sportscasters like you and I. But it just feels like this sports world is a lot different than when we grew up. I think you'd agree.
Absolutely.
It is. And that reminds me, I got to get a hold of Moose because I haven't heard any details on our live stream tomorrow. Last I heard, we were going to be doing it for Canada, Switzerland. So, yeah, roll with the punches, get used to it. Okay, that's Scruffy's picks. Week 4 in the Canadian Football League, he has taken Winnipeg, if I have you right here, Saskatchewan, BC, Montreal. I feel like these weren't that hard to pick.
And those could be subject to change as we get closer to kickoff. But I'll have it up in my
Okay, they can be changed. They can be changed once the ball goes off the tee. Up until then, yes. Monty in Saskatoon says, goodbye, Mitchell. All right.
Who says that?
Thank you, sir. Monty in Saskatoon. We'll be right back on the
Monty.
RP Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show. Don't just watch the RP Show. Wear it. We have a full store available at rodpeterson.com/RP store. Just go to rodpeterson.com, click on the top link, and all kinds of things there to support your favorite sports talk show. Okay, Scruffy's gone. The poll question, I did not tell you who it's for. I told you what it is. I didn't tell you who it's for. The poll question is, will Theron Fleury ever get into the Hockey Hall of Fame? That poll is for Country Thunder. The biggest party of the summer is coming to Craven Sass, July 9th to the 12th, featuring Lainey Wilson and Creed. Get your tickets now, countrythunder.com/SK. Just $20 down secures your weekend pass. It feels like such old news now, the Hall of Fame, with the Oilers announcing that Mike Babcock is their next head coach this morning. But anyways, the Hall of Fame class was announced on Monday. Carey Price, Patrice Bergeron, Pekka Rinne, Keith Tkachuk, and Cindy Curley in the player category. Brian Burke going in as a builder. So just so you know, close to 70% of respondents saying Theo will never go in. I voted yes. And Jeff, the Stamps fan, brought up something earlier. He said he'll probably be Pete Rosed going after he's dead, which doesn't do anybody any good. And sometimes I wonder why I have this show and why people shove a microphone in my face every day, because nobody listens to me anyways in these halls of fame. Like, what's the point? You're going to put Theo in once he dies? What's the point? You know, I have to relate a lot to my history. You know, the Saskatchewan Roughriders Hall of Fame, the Plaza of Honor. Scott Schultz, number 96. At one time, my co-host for many years, very close friend. He's been on sporadically lately, but he said when he was waiting to go into the Hall of Fame, he's like, what are they waiting for? So I went, and I was close friends with the committee. I said, why? What are you waiting to put Schultz in for? Oh, he'll get in. He's going to go in. He's on the list. So I went and told him that, and he goes, I could be hit by a bus. Put me in. And the next year they did. And that reminds me, my friends with the Flames, I'm sorry if I'm saying too much, but they have told me we'll retire Theo's number. We'll retire at number 4. We will. When? So my point is, yes, Theo will get in. And Theo's not, I was thinking about this morning. I was out for my walk. Theo's a guy dealing with his thing. Ron Duguay's another with the Rangers, and we talked about his relationship with the Rangers. And there was another guy the other day that was left off the top 10. Oh, Robbie Alomar. Not in the voted top 10 Blue Jays of all time. Robbie Alomar is probably the greatest ever, and he's not in the top 10 on what Steve Simmons will tell you is a trumped up witch hunt. And and I was telling these guys, because I know them all, guys, you've had a Hall of Fame career. You don't need to go into the Hall of Fame. Everybody knows you're a Hall of Famer. But then this summer, when I was announced as going into the Hall of Fame at CKRM, their first ever induction class, it actually does feel good. But you know what? There was a waiting period there. Certain people have to die, I think. And maybe it is Theo or Robbie Alomar. I don't know, or the person pulling the strings on these halls of fame. Somebody's got to die first. It's a shame, but it is what it is, and I'm ready to move on. But again, close to 70% of people saying Theo will never get in, and that's just a bloody shame. Point one, Mike Babcock. Well, it's breaking news. Point one's Mike Babcock. We actually got stopped there and never got into what I was going to talk about. Canada and Switzerland are both training in Vancouver today ahead of Wednesday's Group B showdown at BC Place. The Canadians can finish first in the group with a win or draw after opening the tournament with a draw against Bosnia-Herzegovina and a 6-0 victory over Qatar. I'm pretty sure Moose and I are going to be holding a live stream on Wednesday. He's just been traveling back from L.A. and the USA Flag Football Championships, which he was producing. If you follow that at all, so I've just been letting him do his thing and expecting to be doing that live stream tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, 1 Mountain on Gosh. By the way, the warm-up, which we're still technically in because I haven't got through all the Quick Six show topics yet, is brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel. As Neil Chark says there, we got to get this cruise sold out. So you've never been on a cruise, and you love the CFL, so why would you not score a touchdown in the Caribbean with CFL legend Adam Bighill, Rough Riders linebacker Jameer Thurman? Can you imagine the hot stoves? Kevin the Medium's going to be on it, and I probably will too. I just haven't locked it down in my mind yet. It's a 7-day cruise departing Fort Lauderdale, February 20th. A once-in-a-lifetime experience for CFL fans. Prices from $18.99, cruise only. Book yours today. The information is on the screen. Neil Chark, Neil at uniglobecarefree.ca. By the way, Kevin the Medium, I was talking to him this morning. He is going to be on that cruise, and he's cruised many, many times out of Fort Lauderdale. And one of the times he was down, him and his brother, he was just telling me this on the phone this morning. We were talking about the American players not wanting to play in Canada and the variety of reasons. And he said he was having breakfast. And I don't doubt this. I remember when it happened. He was having breakfast with his brother, Kevin the Medium, in Fort Lauderdale. Matthew Tkachuk came in a big rig truck, picked up breakfast to go, and nobody even turned their head. It was like 3 years ago. Matthew Tkachuk. Can you imagine any restaurant in Canada, let alone Calgary? That's not happening. Matthew Tkachuk walked in, picked up his breakfast to go, paid, left. Nobody even looked up. The players like that. And just so you know, it's not a Canadian thing per se, because being a Dallas Cowboys fan, I know this. Troy Aikman in the 90s couldn't go to the grocery store. He had to fax his grocery list to the local grocery store and have them deliver it back before delivering groceries was a thing. So it's not just a Canadian NHL thing. It's kind of an American NFL thing. But if you want to know why those players, Canadians and Americans, love those U.S. markets, that's why. They can move around, do their business, and nobody's in their face. Connor McDavid can't even leave his house. So he can't. We all know that. So it's like, you better be winning Stanley Cups there or he's going to be gone. It's not that hard to figure out. Jason in Red Deer, thank you. I agree. He goes, it's almost a kick in the nuts putting guys in the Hall of Fame after they die. It's like they are saying, we'll put you in, but you won't get to enjoy it. The good thing is Theo doesn't care. But he does care. Oh, thank you. So it's, okay, on YouTube, close to 70% on YouTube saying, yes, he will get in. And I do think he will get in. That's a bigger topic than what we have time for here now. But it's like, you can't give up hope on on anything. Otherwise, what's the point of getting out of bed every day? I hope that Theo will get into a Hall of Fame. I never thought I would. I'll tell you. One day, when I write my next book, I'll tell you the history of me going into this one at the radio station. Wasn't smooth. Chief Johnny Moe writes in and he says, are they going to trade Hellebuck? He says, on Pavlik days ahead in Winnipeg, you're referring to Andre Pavlik? That's the really tough part here. Do we have time? Do you want to hear a Media 101 remedial the way it is now? Actually, what has never changed in the world for thousands of years is consider the source. If Elliot Friedman's saying it, you can go. If Darren Dreger's saying, you can go with it. If Pierre LeBrun's saying it, you can go with it. I don't want to go too far into how that sausage is made, but they're the guys. But if it's just, I don't want to throw out names of podcasters because they'll call me crazy, or they'll come after me, and I don't need that. Not in NHL media circles because I've worked so hard and have a good rep there. Just consider the source. On the Hellebuck thing, let's put it this way. Nobody's come out and quashed it. Like, I don't even know where it started. Where did it start? Consider the source. 902-518-3033. I haven't seen any of those guys say Hellebuck once out. Let's put it that way. Kirk in Toronto writes in, and I'm going to get all these out before the U.S. hour and when we go to air in Nevada. But Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, with regards to Brady Tkachuk, people are saying here, when he turned anti-Canada, that was the end of him with us. When was he ever anti-Canada? So Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, fans' anti-U.S. feelings helped drive Tkachuk out of Ottawa. When Trump was reelected president, many Canadians seemed to lose their minds. Well, it's difficult. I'd like to separate church and state, separate sports and politics, but it doesn't help when you've got Trump calling the U.S. men's team after they win the gold, and like that's just him. But it's like if you're all going to go off and say Brady Tkachuk was anti-Canada because he was playing for the U.S. and trying to win gold in the Four Nations face-off for the Olympics, then there's something wrong with your cranium here. And I can't help you. And as far as Brady and Matthew being friends with Donald Trump, you haven't clearly spent 5 seconds in dealing with government relations. I mean, I'll give you a really good example. I'm still a Saskatchewan resident, pay taxes here. The premier of this province of Saskatchewan is a really long-time close friend of mine, Scott Moe. And when I was doing a lot of work here in the recovery agency, this administration has spent more on the mental health and addiction space industry than any other administration in the history of this province. The Scott Moe. What do you need? We need this amount of money. For what? This many beds, this treatment center, this prevention program. Here you go. Didn't hurt that Scott was my friend. And I had a lot of the people in the addiction industry saying to me, oh, you can't cozy up to the politician. Why not? And then when he stroked the check, they're all like, oh, good thing you're friends with him. Oh, yeah, you told me not to be. Are you starting to... Is it coming up next? We go to air across Nevada, and Bob Marjanovich will be with us, the voice of the Lions. It's the RP Show, and we'll be right back.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
It's a very big day, and I feel like we say that every day. But it is. Not just because it's the next one, but we got breaking news on this Tuesday. We got a lot of sports going on, and that's what we do here on your favorite prime time sports talk show, the RP shows. We welcome viewers across Nevada on Silver State Sports, still trucking on the Game Plus streaming channel, and also podcast WQVZ radio down there in the U.S. Up. I'll just tell you right now, our guest is the voice of the Lions. Coming up in the next segment, Bob Marjanovich, the Moj. And there's a lot to get to with the Moj, but let's get down to business. As usual, I had my quick six show topics all lined up and ready to go. And then breaking news drops. This from the National Hockey League, and we open it because we are Vegas's favorite hockey show, we're told. Here's the breaking news out of the show, as we refer to the NHL in Canada. Mike Babcock is officially taking over as head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. The team announced Babcock's hiring on Tuesday morning, putting him in charge of a Stanley Cup pursuit that has eluded the Oilers thus far in the Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl era. He becomes the 19th head coach in Oilers history, and they confirmed that former Senators head coach DJ Smith will be part of Babcock's staff in Edmonton as an associate coach. So that's not even point one. That's the breaking news. Just putting it in park for a second. We've talked about this enough to the point that I'm sick of talking about it, in that we all thought, and I was led to believe, that former Golden Knights coach Bruce Cassidy was going to be the next coach of the Edmonton Oilers. I was told that by somebody in Vegas, and that's as far as I'll say. something changed. So they're going with Mike Babcock, the vilified coach, which, as a matter of fact, I shouldn't have exited out of that on my TSN app. I'll continue. It's right here. The news comes just a few days after Babcock was cleared in an NHL investigation requested by the NHL Players Association relating to his brief time with the Columbus Blue Jackets in 2023. The findings of that investigation allowed the 63-year-old to return to an NHL bench. So there was at one time this small Vegas tie-in that maybe Bruce Cassidy was going to be the next coach of the Oilers. For whatever reason, that went sideways. I guess I'm kind of led to believe maybe he interviewed with Edmonton and it wasn't a fit, but but Babcock was. You had to have an investigation to hire this guy. I've been talking about it since it broke 2 weeks ago. So we wish them well, and I will just say this. There's Oilers fans threatening to burn their jerseys. I feel like there's going to be protests out front of the arena at Rogers Place. And that's just the angry mob mentality. That's torch and pitchfork crowd. Obviously, I've said it many times about how long Mike and I have been friends. He's been on this show multiple times. He's not Jerry Sandusky, okay? He's not that. And in Canadian hockey terms, he's not Graham James. So, old school techniques that frankly worked. I mean, the story here that has been put out by the national sports hockey media in Canada is that he sat down with the Oilers' top players on the weekend and said to all of them in their face, this is why you didn't win Stanley Cups the past few years. And sold the players on it. Boom. Bob's your uncle and he's hired. So good luck to Babs. Good luck to the Oilers. And good luck to Bruce Cassidy, who can be found on a golf course somewhere collecting $4.5 million in a tax-free income tax state. He'll be fine. So back on point. Other than to say, the warm-up and the Quick Six show topics are brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel Group, the preferred travel partner of the Rod Pedersen Show, and the CFL's BC Lions. Their voice, Bruce, why do I keep saying Bruce? The Moj, Bob Marjanovich, coming up in the next segment for Prairie Panels. When it comes to sports trips, group travel, or your next great getaway, trust the pros who handle every detail so you can enjoy the journey. Contact Neil Chark with Uniglobe Carefree Travel. Here in my space, and it is the Rod Pedersen Show, I'm keeping my eye on the World Cup games in Canada. For instance, Canada and Switzerland are both training in Vancouver today ahead of Wednesday's big Group B showdown at BC Place Stadium. The Canadians can finish first in the group with a win or draw after opening the tournament with a draw against Bosnia-Herzegovina last Friday and a 6-0 whitewash of Qatar on Thursday. Canada and Switzerland are tied atop Group B with 4 points each, with the Canadians holding the edge on goal differential. I haven't heard the latest from my live stream partner, Moose, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be doing a live stream on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Mountain on the streaming platform Gosh, presented by BC Game, the global crypto casino that it went over so well last week. They said, would you come back and do it again? Yes, we would. USA has already clinched their pool, so that's not, they're just sitting there waiting for the next stage. But the games today in the World Cup, Portugal, Uzbekistan, England versus Ghana, Panama versus Croatia, and Colombia versus Congo. I feel like we're going to get into some of that in the next segment with the Moj. That's why I always have to pause to stop and think about his name, because we just call him the Moj. He's got a name? Bob Marjanovich. And we talked to him about a bit yesterday. Like, Bob's a long-time Vancouver broadcaster, which is a very wonderful multicultural city. I'm sitting out here right in the midst of Western Canada. We call it Western Canada, but it's basically mid-Canada. And this dawned on me just the other day. I'm getting teased by people here for putting color in my hair. I'm getting teased for wearing pink shorts. And that's the way I lived my whole life. I was just used to it. But I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't wear Wrangler jeans and plaid shirts and a ball cap every single day. And that's fine. But please don't tease me for not. Because in Florida, every single guy's like me. They all color their hair and they all wear pink shorts. It's dawned on me why I'm so comfortable there. Which, speaking of that, sashaying back to hockey for a second, Well, they're raging in Ottawa for Brady Tkachuk leaving, and they're saying, they're trying to light him on fire, figuratively, and trying to find reasons to hate him because he wanted out. He was introduced in Fort Lauderdale, specifically this morning, Florida, along with the general manager, Bill Zito of the Florida Panthers, and he's all smiles, and he told the media that his decision to come to Florida had nothing to do with his brother already playing there, and people are calling BS on that, but what are you going to do? Okay, point 2. Point 1, well, breaking news was Mike Babcock, head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, announced Tuesday morning. Point 1 is actually World Cup. Point 2 is the Hockey Hall of Fame. That was announced on Monday. Seems like such old news. But for the hockey fans that are watching, Carey Price and Patrice Bergeron were among the class of 2026, announced Monday by the Hockey Hall of Fame, alongside Pekka Rinne, Keith Tkachuk, the father of those two Bulldogs, and Cindy Curley in the player category. Brian Burke, meanwhile, will go in as a builder at the fall induction ceremony in Toronto. I could sit and talk about that for hours. That's just what I do. But I'll say this. Our dear friend Theron Fleury, who's been on this show so many times I've lost count, could literally and figuratively skate circles around Keith Tkachuk and his career. You put their resumes together, they're not even close. So I'm not going to sit here and call out the Hockey Hall of Fame. God knows I've done that enough. And a lot of their staff watch this show every day. They tell me, so I like them. But it's like, just put in Theron Fleury. I still don't understand. I remember years ago, this snub's gone on for 15 years. I remember watching TSN, and Gino Reda goes, well, we know why Theodore didn't get in. There's a stigma against him. And I'm sitting there yelling at the television going, what stigma is that, Gino? Because he's in recovery from addiction, stemming from the trauma that was derived from being sexually abused hundreds of times by his hockey coach. Trying to calm myself. What is this? And because he doesn't like the Canadian government, is that the thing now? 15 years ago, that wasn't a thing. But anyways, all I'm saying is, until Theo gets in, 1,100 games in the NHL, 1,100 points in the NHL. He's won a Stanley Cup, Olympic world gold, World Junior gold. You look up Hockey Hall of Famer in the dictionary, it should be Theo's picture. Because of all those things I just said, though, it's not. And it bothers him immensely. Somebody wrote in here earlier and said it doesn't bother Theo. No, it does bother him. And I've sat at his kitchen island in Calgary and said to him, who cares, Theo? You had a Hall of Fame career. We all know that. Why does it need to be recognized? But then this summer when I went into the Hall of Fame here, after a long enough waiting period, not as long as Theo's, but it felt like an eternity, I get it now. So to land the plane, all I'm saying is put Theo in, and then I don't care if you want to put in Keith Tkachuk or Bob's uncle. Who can put in the guys that deserve to be in, and then put in whoever you want. But until you do, it's always a guy like Keith Tkachuk's always going to have his resume compared to Theo. Or guys were saying Carey Price. Come on, if you don't think Carey Price is a Hall of Famer, then I don't think you watch hockey. Yes, I am a goalie guy, but he does have the Olympic gold from Sochi in 2014. Never won a Stanley Cup, but that's not his fault. And when you look at the Montreal Canadiens record book, single game, single season, shoot, even career, he's up there with the Sawchucks and the Plants and the Drydens. Well, not Sawchuck, but you know what I mean. The Drydens, the Plants, the Rois. He's in that group. He's a Hall of Famer, Carey Price. Pekka Rinne, rewind to what I just said 5 minutes ago. He's not got the career of a Curtis Joseph, and while Cujo's a friend of mine too, that's not a hill today that I'm willing to die on. 902-518-3033 is the text line. Vancouver Eric writes in, he says, very rare to have a long-time sports broadcaster from Vancouver still working. Thanks for having him on. Well, I'll say this, Moj, here's the story on that and how this show, as you all know, is so different from every other one. We mix in the day sports topics, but a lot more fun is the stories. And it was the Super Bowl 3-4 years ago in LA, Super Bowl 56. I went to a Super Bowl party, Mike Ditka and Ron Jaworski's Super Bowl party. I didn't even know Moj was going to be there, but he was there with Mike Weddingham, another longtime Vancouver radio guy. Yes, 111 Eastern Carlos. Thank you for pointing that out. For the live audience, 1111 Mountain. But Moj, I told this yesterday, but I'll say it more quickly today for those that weren't watching yesterday. Moj, he said, hey, Rod, he has been going to 30-plus Super Bowls. That was my first in L.A. He's like, Rod, I'm going to take you around and introduce you to everybody. I'm like, you don't need to do that, Moj. But he did. As Solomon Wilcots comes to mind, RG3, Jim McMahon. There were guys there that I knew already. Chris Carter, Michael Irvin, obviously. But Moj, he didn't need to do that. And he did. He's that kind of guy. So when I ran into him at the team hotel here a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, hey, Moj, can I ever get you on? Lined up. And they just happened to have a real big game this Saturday. Touchdown, Kelowna. As they will be taking on the Calgary Stampeders, which, let me just stop this for a sec. Our picks, we do them every week for the Canadian Football League. It's presented by Pump Jacks Casino. Wouldn't that be some? Pump Jacks Cathedral, Pump Jacks Weyburn. Come early and stay late. I'm going there today at the place where friends meet. In the CFL Thursday, it's Edmonton at Winnipeg. I'm taking Edmonton to win. Sprinkle of Jesus. For the U.S. viewers that don't know, look it up. Edmonton to win at Winnipeg. That's my pick. Friday, Saskatchewan versus Toronto. I've taken Saskatchewan to win. In that aforementioned touchdown Kelowna game, because the BC Lions have been kicked out of their stadium because of the World Cup in Vancouver, I've taken the BC Lions to beat the Calgary Stampeders, as did my Hour 1 co-host, Scruffy. And that's Saturday. And Sunday, Montreal will beat Ottawa in the most lopsided point spread of the week. 9 points, Montreal Alouettes favored over the Ottawa Redblacks. Biggest person, happiest person that Brady Tkachuk was traded out of Ottawa as the head coach of the 0-2 Ottawa Redblacks, Ryan Dinwiddie, the Boise State product. Great. Because nobody's talking about them and how bad they are. What do we got here? Ryan in upstate New York writes in. He says, like a lot of New Jersey Devils fans, we're waiting on Patrick Eliash's Hall of Fame nod. Not sure why. There's a reason he's not in. That's the one thing with Theo. We can always point and go, well, that's why. Can we get over it? And as Scruffy pointed out last hour, it's not just a Hockey Hall of Fame thing. There's clearly voters for the Pro Football Hall of Fame have an issue with Belichick. Yeah, let's not compare off-ice issues. I appreciate what you're saying with Carey Price and Theo. It's just, I will say this, I've said it many times, but apparently not enough to sit back and think about why things go the way they are will only keep you up at night. We got to let it go. John in Edmonton writes in, he says, from NBC Sports, no, Brady Tkachuk is not anti-Canada. While he is a proud American who plays fiercely for Team USA and has spoken of his intense hatred and rivalry in best-on-best international hockey, he has explicitly denied holding any anti-Canadian sentiment. People actually thought he did because he was trying to win gold for the USA, the team for which he was playing and born. Some of these Canadians really need to check themselves because I didn't even know that was a thing. They're mad. He is anti-Canada. Why? Because he was playing for Team USA. Moj might have some thoughts on this next. If you're a competitor, you hate the competition. When the game's over, you don't hate him anymore. How about that? Does anybody have a competitive bone in their body? It's the way that I've always rolled, but apparently that's rare. Yeah. We'll be right back with the Moj on Silver State Sports, Game Plus streaming, WQVZ.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, it is the RP Show on a Tuesday. Welcome, everybody. The text line's open for Western Dodge. Drive with confidence. Shop Western Dodge. Financing, selection, and service you can count on. 902-518-3033. Bob Marjanovich is with us. The Moj, the voice of the BC Lions. Moj, there's so much going on in sports. Where's your attention? Where is your cranium today with this crazy world we got going on?
Where my cranium is? I think the astronauts for Apollo 12 had easier prep than trying to get on your show with the system that you have, for crying out loud. I spent the last 15 minutes trying to figure it out.
Well, I'm glad you got in early. You look and sound fantastic, and that's not a surprise to me. Okay, Moj. Honestly, though, I know your eyeballs deep in football, but aside from the Canadian Football League, which we will get to, where are you at? World Cup, Hockey Hall of Fame, Mike Babcock? What?
A little bit. I'd probably say like most of my, as you know, Rod, when you're doing the play-by-play, you're kind of zoned in on the team, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that's where most of my focus and attention has been. I also have the Moj Celebrity Shootout coming up on Monday, a big golf tournament in Kelowna that we've revived with the 2 football games in Kelowna. So I've been working my you-know-what to get that all prepped up. So that's been my real focus. Honestly, the World Cup, I've really kind of just been on the outside looking in. I really haven't gotten into it. And one of the reasons why is just the taste in my mouth from FIFA. I don't know if you heard, but the BC Sports Hall of Fame was kicked out of BC Place. They had to move all their artifacts. They had to move all their basically, they had to take up the BC Sports Hall of Fame, move it into storage for 2 months. And do you think FIFA would say, hey, you know what, maybe we should keep this around and have it as part of the event? People can learn about the history of sport in BC. No. Do you think FIFA actually compensated the BC Sports Hall of Fame? No. Right? So it left just a real sour taste in my mouth. And and then the prices of the tickets. I mean, who can afford to go to these games? I mean, if I go watch Egypt and New Zealand, it costs you like $800 Canadian to get into the building. I mean, I'm not that much of a soccer fanatic to pay those types of prices, but there are people, and of course you got people coming from all over the world, and they're driving up the prices, and good for them. But in terms of me, thanks, but no thanks.
You know, I'm glad you brought all of this up. Well, 52,000 and change are paying, as you see.
Yep.
But so they're kicked out temporarily for this? Like they get to come back in, the
Yes.
BC Hall of Fame, Sports Hall of Fame.
Yes,
Okay.
the BC Sports Hall of Fame, yeah.
Okay, well, you know these big-time events. You're a big-time guy, Bob. None of that surprises. It's a pain, but it doesn't surprise me.
At the same time, like I said, for me, the thing is, it's just, they could have compensated them. They could have said, or they just could have said, hey, we'd love to have this as part of the event. People can learn about the history of BC and the great sports history they have in BC and all the athletes and teams and events that they had here. But like I said, I don't know. It's left a real sour taste in my mouth. I can't even get into Canada playing, for crying out loud. We were in Hamilton. We went to one of the bars there, Shoeless Joe's, and the whole bar was red and white, and people were going crazy when Canada scored. And I was just like, whatever, right? I'm like completely apathetic to the whole World Cup.
Well, having said that, and I love Shoeless Joe's, I'm asking all my longtime Vancouver guys, though, to see all the people downtown. Like, this would be Expo 86-ish, right? Like, that must hit you in the feels, I would think, for how big this is. And I'm probably don't want them back, but it's pretty cool.
Well, you don't want them back because after we found out with Expo 86, the property prices went through the roof. The one thing where it hit me a little bit, when we were flying out to Saskatchewan, we were leaving Vancouver, and there were probably, we fly out of a private area, so to speak. One of the aviation companies has like a building, and the charters come in and out. When we were leaving, there might have been about 15 or 20 Vancouver motorcycle officers just standing in the parking lot waiting for Team Australia to land. Their bus was there with the big kangaroos on the side, the Australian flags. So it kind of hit me a little bit then. And then when we came back, Australia had played that night versus, can't remember who they played. They played somebody. But anyway, when we landed, it was the late game in Vancouver. I think they started at 9 o'clock. But when we landed from Saskatchewan around midnight, there were 2 Alaska Airline jets ready and fueled up and, ramps down, ready to go to take the teams from Vancouver to wherever they were going next. So kind of got a little bit of a feel for it then that, this is kind of a big deal. But to be honest, I've been downtown a couple of times, traffic jams all over the place. Granville Street's alive. I've talked to people that have gone down there and had a great time. They've said they've never felt anything like it. Even they felt it was more of a vibe, more of a buzz than when the Olympics were in town. So anyway, it is what it is, and I'm glad people are enjoying it, but I've got other things to focus on right now.
Well, wonderful segue to the Canadian Football League and your BC Lions, and Uniglobe Carefree Travels, the official travel partner of the BC Lions and the RP Show. Let me just talk about your owner for a sec. I had the great pleasure of seeing you at your downtown hotel the day of that afternoon. That was a fun day, not a great ending for your Lions, but just before the game, I saw a private jet pulling in. I don't know how much I can say, but I think it was your owner because there's not a lot of private jets going in and out of here. And I was told he was coming in just before the game with his family, Amar Doman. This guy is like the Taylor Swift of pro football. Amar Doman.
The thing is with Amar, he is the one thing I like about him. He listens to you, he hears you, he always gives you time. And just as an example with this golf tournament, a little background, I used to have this tournament when I was with TSN 1040 for many years in Kelowna. A bunch of the NHLers, whoever we could wrangle up there for the tournament would play. And I said, hey, I've done this tournament in the past. Do you think maybe we should go ahead and do this as part of Touchdown Pacific? I mean, I know how to get it done. I've done it. I know the course. I know how to do this. He's like, let's do it. And I said, if I'm going to do it, I want a little help from you. I need a little muscle behind the hustle, so to speak. Well, one phone call by Amar Doman, and all of a sudden we have the great Fuller Group behind us at the tournament. So we're going to have Joey's on as a vendor. Cactus Club, Local, and Earls are all on the course, and every hole is basically going to have something on it in terms of food or libations, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it's great. It's great working with them. It's great working for him. And like I said, to me, anytime there's something that, I can phone him, I can text him, I can email him, and I'm sure to get a response. He's an awesome owner, and he's a great guy. And like I said, he's a guy that he gets it. You know what I mean? There's, he understands, and like he always gives you the time of day and always wants to hear your ideas. So that's one thing that I really love about working for a Mardona.
Well, he's also been nice to me and has no reason to be. So I'm very, very grateful to that. And for that reason, I want you guys to win. I told your PR guy, Matt Baker, and I think you will win with him as the owner because I don't think he'll stand for anything less. But I don't think you like being 0-2.
No, obviously not the start that the BC Lions wanted. And, it's interesting in talking to General Manager Ryan Rigmaiden in the preseason. One of the things that he was kind of really focusing on, I says, we have to get off to a better start this year. Last year, that 2-5 start killed him in the sense that it ruined any chances of winning the West. So that was one of the things that, they really wanted to get off to a good start and, not kind of knock themselves out of the hunt for first place in the Western Division. I mean, last year they came within one game anyway with the run that they went on. But, this is a very competitive West Division, and you're sitting at 0-2 right now, right? So you got to figure things out quickly. I know Calgary's 0-2, but they've been extremely competitive in their 2 losses. Vernon Adams Jr., we all know what can happen when he's on. So it's going to be an interesting tilt against Calgary. And then the following week, you got the Edmonton Elks coming to town, who have started off on a good note, being 2-0 themselves. So it doesn't get any easier, right? And, it's just one of those things. It's pro football. You got to figure out a way to win, and you got to figure out a way to win quickly.
Yeah, and for the viewers watching on Silver State Sports in Nevada, Bob Marjanovich is the voice of the BC Lions. They've been displaced out of BC Place because of the World Cup. So I'm kind of picking up what you're putting down. Not the biggest World Cup fan for a variety of reasons. But I also sense you're pretty excited about going to Kelowna. So they're propping up a 20,000-seat stadium to play there the next 2 games. This Saturday against Calgary, and then next weekend against Reno, Nevada star Cody Fajardo, University of Nevada, Reno star Cody Fajardo against Edmonton. But how excited are you, Moj, for those games?
Well, first off, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Fajardo scale. So when Cody was with the BC Lions, probably the best dressed guy on every charter going to the game, right? So Mike Riley was pretty dapper as well, but we still use the Fajardo scale to rate players in terms of their attire. And I told Cody that. I go, we're still using the Fajardo scale, and Cody always gets a kick out of that. And love Cody. We had him here in BC for a short time. But yeah, people in Kelowna are really excited about this. And just to give you a sense, a lot of times, like when I phoned in the past to try to get people involved with the golf tournament, we've had pretty good response. This time it's through the roof. As soon as we tell them it's part of Touchdown Pacific, it's part of the Lions festivities, they're like, we're in. People in Kelowna are extremely excited about having the Lions come up for 2 games. They've revamped the Apple Bowl. Of course, the Apple Bowl only holds like 3,000. It's one big grandstand. So what they've done is built, temporary seating all the way around with bleachers and stuff. So I know, and just talking to a lot of the players that are playing in my tournament, a lot of the NHLers up there and former NHLers are like, hey, can you get me tickets? So got a whole slew of guys in the VIP section for the event. So a lot of people are excited to see the event up in Kelowna. And Kelowna's had a couple of really good events here in the last month or so, hosting the Memorial Cup and now, of course, the Touchdown Pacific games.
It's a grand town, no doubt. What do you think? Like, once the game kicks off, your players, they're going to be locked in. Now, they're not going to care where they're playing, right? Like, it's just another game to the players, I would think.
Yeah, of course. I mean, once you start playing, it doesn't matter if you're playing in front. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say. I mean, if you're playing in front of 60,000 people, guys might have an impact on players. But for the most part, they're zoned in on what they have to do. They're zoned in on their job. The cool thing about Kelowna, much like we saw in Victoria and Langford, the people are going to be right on top of you, right? It's going to be a very intimate atmosphere, almost one of those Friday night lights type feels to it. So I know the players enjoyed that in the past, and I imagine they'll enjoy that as well this time around too.
I got to ask you a football question. There is a lot of heat on the BC Lions defense. What are you guys saying about that?
Well, I always look at the big picture, Rod. And for me, this isn't just, pointing the finger at one facet. To me, this is the blame lays everywhere. And the blame lays in Ryan Rigmaiden. And if you want to throw blame out, but I think, accountability is probably a better word that I'll use rather than blame. The general manager and Ryan Rigmaiden has to find the players. The coach and Mike Benavides has to put the players in position to win, and the players themselves have to execute. So, a lot of people like to point the finger at the players or Benavides or Rigmaiden. I think it's a threefold deal. I think all three have to be held accountable in this instance. And I think, if you ask any of those three parties, they would probably say, yeah, you're right. So for me, it's across the board. Got to find players. Yeah, it's the old Wally Buono line, right? Yeah, Wally would say, "My job is to find somebody that's better than you." When he was talking about being a general manager, right? So, that's the thing. You got to go out and you got to find the players. You have to find the players that are going to execute your plan. Your plan has to be sound, and you just got to go out there and get it done. And right now, the Lions need to figure it out defensively.
We've seen, well, you've been around this game a long time. The one thing I think people forget is that the teams that start slow go to work. They go to the lab. They fix things. Like sometimes a 2-0, 3-0, 3-1 start can be a mirage. A lot of teams rebound. And I guess that's the plan for BC. I bet you they're putting in a lot of hours figuring this thing out right now.
Yeah, that's what we saw last year, right? The defense struggled at the start of the season, and in the second half was one of the better defenses in the league. But the big thing is, right now they're not getting anything. They're not getting a pass rush. They're not getting coverage. They're blowing assignments. They're blowing tackles, and the players have to execute better. And like I said, they've got to get a pass rush to help that secondary out. And right now they haven't got anything. They released Sione Tuiema yesterday. Obviously not happy with his production. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can come up with. I think it starts with the pass rush, and then it moves from there. But they have to, like I said, they got to figure it out. They got to figure it out quick, because you could be staring at 0-3 or 0-4 if you don't, and you're right back where you were last year, and that is having to go on a heater to hopefully get a playoff spot, maybe like in second place or even first place. But they get out there. You start off 0-3, 0-4, man. You got to, like I said, you have to get on a heater to get things done.
The face of the Canadian Football League is your quarterback, Nathan Rourke. Was an NFL journeyman as a backup, but he is the face of the CFL. And his stats, Moj, are kind of down there in the list, and the eye test don't look too great. Thoughts on his play through 2 weeks?
I don't think Nathan has been bad. I think he's played well. I think it's one of the cases of the CFL this year. The quarterback play has been outstanding, right? You look around the league, and some of the numbers the quarterbacks have put up have been amazing. I was looking at the stats last week. The Lions were averaging, close to 400 yards a game, and their offense was ranked fourth, right, at 400. Usually that's at the top of the heap, right? But yeah, I just look at the quarterback play, and with Nathan, I think there's room to get better. I think teams, what they've done is tried to keep him in the pocket. And now it's up to the Lions to maybe perhaps get to a situation where he has different launch points, move him around a little bit, and try to keep defenses on edge that way. But, you keep him in the pocket, you basically are containing him and making him one-dimensional into a passer. And, of course, what we've seen with Nathan is ability to use his legs to get out of the pocket, to extend plays, to run on passing plays, and pick up first downs that way has been a big key part of his game, and I think they're looking to get that back into the offensive scheme for the Lions.
Just a couple of minutes left. Mike Babcock is the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. What do you think?
Here's the thing that people are going crazy about Babcock being hired as the Oilers coach. I think Mike Commodore's probably I don't know where Commie is these days, but wherever he is right now, he's probably like flabbergasted, other players as well. But here's the thing. Mike Babcock is not going to be the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers unless your guys have signed off. Like, you're telling me Connor McDavid hasn't signed off on this, Leon Draisaitl hasn't signed off on this, Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, whoever, right? There's no way they're bringing in Babcock if these players have not signed off on it. And I think this is what they want. They want some sort of, change from what they've had in the past, and I think they want that hardcore, disciplinarian, old school type guy, because the other approaches they've tried in Edmonton haven't worked. And, I think for a guy like Connor McDavid, this might be the last grasp, so to speak, at trying to win a Stanley Cup. So Let's bring in a guy who's done it before. And yeah, so for all those people that are complaining about Babcock being brought in, hey, you know what? Go ask Connor McDavid, go ask Leon Draisaitl, go ask Hyman, go ask Nugent Hopkins, all the core players on that team. Like I said, those guys had to sign off, and for me, it's what they want, and it's what they're going to get.
I think we got about 90 seconds. Do you think this ends in a Stanley Cup?
No. I from a personnel issue, I think they have other issues. I mean, goaltending. I mean, they have not figured out their goaltending situation in who knows how long, right? So they've got to figure that out. And, you know, maybe Babcock brings some structure to this team. But to me, their biggest issue is between the pipes, and they've got to figure that out first before they contend for a Stanley Cup or win a Stanley Cup.
Well, it's the summer in Canada, and Sergei Bobrovsky's been linked to Toronto now. Pretty sure we'll hear about Edmonton by next week when free agency opens. So it's always fun. Moj, been trying to line this up for a while. I appreciate you finding the time for us. Enjoy Kelowna.
No worries. Anytime, my friend.
The great Bob Marjanovich, the voice of the BC Lions, joining us on Silver State Sports. We'll be back in a moment. The text line's open, 902-518-3033. Again, 902-518-3033 is the text line. Proudly presented by our friends at Western Dodge. Drive with confidence. Shop Western Dodge. Financing, selection, and service you can count on. And the YouTube string. We'll be back in a moment with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way, everybody. Thank you for tuning in on YouTube Live, the Game Plus streaming channel, and Silver State Sports here in Nevada. We'll be back in a moment.
That worked.
Don't swear, Moj.
I didn't swear this time.
We're still on. No, you didn't. Everybody, we're still on. We get about 15 more. Okay, Moj. Now we're good. Yeah, it slipped out with Moj. A little bit of an F. There we go. The last time. My bad. This one's all on me. We'll be right back on Silver State Sports.
For a night of rock with the Gene Simmons Band.
You know your man is working hard. He's worth a team.
Saturday, December 5th, Temple Garden Center.
Now.
The Gene Simmons Band performing your favorite classic hits. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca. Don't miss the Gene Simmons Band.
Get ready to make unforgettable memories with your little ones at Elmo's Got the Moves, the all-new Sesame Street live show coming to your neighborhood. Friday, December 4th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at SaskTix.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Now you got just me and producer Corey to the top of the hour. Lucky you guys. 902-518-3033. Having a ball on this Tuesday on the RP show on Silver State Sports, if that's the day that you're seeing it. It's an interesting time in this broadcast world. Maybe you're listening on podcast 6 months from now. I don't know. But I want to thank Moj. And that little timing issue we had before the break was all on me. And I'm just sitting there going, don't swear, Moj. Don't swear, Moj. He's such an unbelievable guy. But the last time I don't even know what the hell he was talking about. He slipped out an F-bomb. So, I feel like when Ray Elgard was on with us, that wasn't slipping out. Elgard just didn't care. Anywho, a sports update today. It's like reading yesterday's newspaper at this point. The Bucks have finally traded Giannis Antetokounmpo, sending the two-time NBA MVP to the Miami Heat alongside Bobby Portis in a massive deal for Tyler Herro, Kel'el Ware, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Kasparis Giannakis, 3 first-round picks, a second, and 1 pick swap. When I tell you South Florida is going off right now with the addition of Brady Tkachuk to the Panthers and the Greek Freak to the Heat, this may or may not surprise you, but the majority of my friends have never been to a Heat game. I've been to more Heat games than people that have been born and raised in South Florida. It's weird. It's the way it is. Dodgers superstar Shohei Ohtani remains MLB's top vote getter as of Monday's All-Star ballot update, while Blue Jays second baseman Ernie Clement has the most votes in the American League. How about that? Phase 1 of voting ends on Thursday at noon Eastern. We're going to have Scott Belford with us from the Walk-Off podcast on Wednesday, talking MLB, so get ready for that. Boston Bruins legend Patrice Bergeron was elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. It was announced Monday. He's joined in the class of 2026 by Brian Burke, Cindy Curley, Carey Price, Pekka Rinne, and Keith Tkachuk, all of whom will be inducted in November. We have spent quite a bit of time on this for various reasons, for the viewers that are just getting to know me after a career in sports, media, and sports. I was never really a big draft guy at all. Even though my dad worked in the National Hockey League for 26 years, I was never really big into the draft. The Hall of Fame debate is the one that I can go on forever. We all have our thing, right? And there's a lot of people that love to debate Hall of Fames just like me. But when my dear friend Theron Fleury has the greatest resume of a Hall of Famer, Stanley Cup, Olympic gold, World Juniors gold, 1,100 games played, 1,100 points scored, there is no other. It's taken a lot of fun out of it. And I'll say it again. Just put Theo in and then put in whoever you want. But until then, every guy, every fringe guy is going to have his resume compared to Theo, at least by me, and they're all going to pale in comparison. Like Keith Tkachuk, sure. Henrik Lundqvist, sure. But are we all starting to, like Ron Duguay was on with us a couple years ago when Lundqvist went in, and Duguay was like, do you really think Lundqvist is a Hall of Famer? I'm like, no, I don't. And he's like, he never won in New York. And I'm like, no, he didn't, Dukes, but that doesn't matter anymore, apparently. He's like, it doesn't? No. It's now more than ever, a popularity contest. Tkachuk's kids are the poster boys of the NHL. Let's put them in. Henrik Lundqvist is on the NHL on TNT. Let's put him in. Bill Belichick's an asshole. He's not getting in. Come on. And you wonder why somebody would lose interest in these halls of fame. They did it to themselves. Broadcasting trailblazer Linda Cohn is retiring from ESPN at the end of the month after a 34-year career in which she's anchored over 5,500 editions of SportsCenter, more than anyone else in the show's history. Linda Cohn is the GOAT, and she's good at everything that she does, and she's a really big hockey fan, so salute to Linda Cohn. 5,500 SportsCenters. In Canada, we have a guy by the name of Darren Dutishin who has hosted the most SportsCenters. He's not with us anymore, died of cancer, unfortunately. I wonder if he's got more than Linda Cohn. I can look that up. But I think a lot of us respect the work. 5,500 SportsCenters? What more do you need to know? That's Hall of Fame worthy. We'll be right back with Overtime on Silver State Sports and Game Plus streaming.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, welcome back. It's time for overtime for our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Probably all week. I'll be thanking those who showed up there on the weekend. You were out there for the big Canadian Football League game in Calgary. You stopped into Overtime Hockey Lanes. Thank you for sending me your photos and dropping some dimes at the place that I call an amusement park for hockey players. They've got elite-level training, one-on-one shooting coaching there. Plus, just go there to have some fun. $20 an hour lane time. It's like bowling for hockey players. Who doesn't love bowling? And you can bring your own shoes. 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. What did we learn today? Not a lot, other than Rod's got it stuck in his craw about Theron Fleury. Rob is watching in Windthorst. He writes in and says, if Theo Fleury played in today's era, he would have twice as many points. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Bergeron was a no-brainer along with Price. See, that's why you don't see me going off about the other. And I don't want to bang on Tkachuk, whatever. I see him around Florida quite a bit. I'm going to see him a lot more. He's probably going to get a place there with both his kids playing for the Panthers. I'm just saying, put in Theo, then put in whoever you want. And Brian Burke, great guy as far as I'm concerned. Won a Stanley Cup with Anaheim, took the Vancouver Canucks to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. He's a Hall of Famer, too. Another one of those guys that had to wait a while. But thank God they put him in before he died. Wayne is watching in Victoria. He writes in, says, good interview with Marjanovich. I'm surprised that the Lions and Stamps are 0-2 so far. I'll be cheering for the Lions this weekend. Now it's going to be a fun weekend of CFL watching. Kirk is watching in Tirana. Hi, Rod. Congratulations to the Toronto Marlboros for winning their second Calder Cup in 8 years in front of a raucous sold-out CNE Coliseum. Thank you for the update, Kirk. For our Nevada viewers, that's the league of which the Henderson Silver Knights play in. Toronto won it all, but nobody there cares because it's not the Leafs. Bill from Brantford, Ontario writes in. He says, Keith Tkachuk scored 538 goals in the NHL. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Okay. Again, not arguing. Just put in Theo, and we'll be good. I honestly didn't know that he scored that many goals. I'll be honest. Jason in Red Deer. Man, this show flies by fast. All the heat being taken off of the Dolphins with all the NHL and NBA news and stuff like no, they're still talking about the Dolphins there. It's number one by a long shot. It's the only team in the market that doesn't need to win and sells out every game, the Miami Dolphins. You got to understand. The way you guys love the Oilers in Calgary, the Jets in Winnipeg, the Leafs in Toronto is the way they love the Dolphins in Miami. There'll still be heat on them, trust me. And as they've got everybody sold that the Dolphins are going to be good with this new quarterback, new coach, new everything. They're not. Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in and says, Theo probably goes into the Hall of Fame posthumously. I'm not sure the executives want to hear what he might have to say, right? I was telling you about my 84-year-old aunt. I was with her on Sunday at the farm, literal farm. And when I told her this winter that I was going into this Hall of Fame at the radio station that I worked at for 24 of their 100 years, she said, this is in the winter, she told me. She's like, don't get on the stage and run your mouth. And I'm like, Aunt Florence, I'm not like that anymore. I'm not that guy anymore. Trust, I'm not that guy anymore. I would have run my mouth. And I guess maybe that's the thing. I've learned, and Theo still runs his mouth. We hope that he gets in. See where I've changed. A lot of people don't understand that. And you're still watching anyways. You got to go with the flow. Vancouver, Eric writes, and he says, if this is McDavid's last 2 years in Edmonton, do you see a point where the Oilers have to move him for draft pick? No, his contract's going to be up, and he's leaving as a free agent. That's a 2-year. In 2 years, his contract's up. He can go wherever he wants, and they'll get nothing. It is an immense amount of pressure. And listen, it's funny. I got a text here. Guys watching in L.A. and says, Blankety Blank's wife says Roddy has better info than the talking heads. We talked a lot. I got better info. I was the one that thought Cassidy was going to Edmonton, so no. But if that's what everybody wants to think, go ahead. Rod's got better info than the talking head. Sure. I'm just sitting out here with my ass waving in the wind every day. I'm not being told what to say, which in a lot of cases is what went down. And to this day, that's how it works. That's how that Babcock stuff all came up. And I'm still got to sit down and figure out that this is actually happening. Because when I was working for teams, they would often say, put this out as a trial balloon, see how it goes over. How could the reaction of the Oilers hiring Babcock have been any worse than what it's been? And they still hired him. Vancouver Eric says, Aunt Florence knows. I know she knows. But I was telling her about my life in Florida now, and she's like, so you're not coming back? I'm like, no. Said I worked so hard to get set up there. But I'm back every summer for 3 months. Is that not enough? What did I say earlier? I don't wear Wranglers and plaid shirts every day. I just can't. I never fit in here. I fit in really good in Florida. Really, really, really well. Ryan in upstate New York. Hope you all make it a great Tuesday, Rod Squad. Right. Thank you, Ryan, for hanging in. Again, tomorrow, Scott Belford from the Walk Off podcast. He's also a stand-up comedian. Very funny. Maybe I'll get him to do a little bit of a routine tomorrow. I got a whole list of notes that I actually didn't even get to. I love Moj bashing the World Cup. How awesome was that? That was fun, too. I'm not sure we learned a lot today, but dagnabbit, we had fun. And we'll do it all over again tomorrow, live at noon Eastern, 10 a.m. Mountain, replayed here in prime time and Silver State Sports and Game Plus streaming. See you, everybody.
That.